Good morning, everyone. This is going to be a lot of fun because we're going to learn a ton of new stuff today. We're doing a champagne shimmer makeup look. And if you're not sure what that entails, let me show you. We're going to be doing some soft champagne shades, two different, slightly different shimmers on your lid with a deep brown in the outer corner, a liquid eyeliner. We're going to talk about how to make that easier than it sounds, a really soft, pretty cheek that I've never used before, but I really love, and a bold red lip. Holy cow. So if you're following along or if you're watching the replay and you decide to run and get your makeup bag, these are the types of colors that you're looking for. Now that second eyeshadow looks really dark, but it is not. It's very soft. So that is just so funny that it looks so dark in this picture. But smoky quartz is actually it's almost the same color as the crystalline, which is the first one. So crystalline, smoky quartz, and this one is espresso, shy blush. And we're using red stiletto matte lipstick today. So let me explain. I'm Michelle Fox. If you are watching for the first time, I would encourage you to subscribe if you're on YouTube, or follow if you are on Facebook, because this is week 2 of a 6-week series. And typically I speak to women over 50 about how to look and feel our best regarding skincare and makeup and other things. And so I was thinking today, like, I should probably explain how I chose these 6 looks, because frankly, they were not curated specifically for women over 50, but I am a woman over 50. So as I put these looks on, I have some thoughts to share. And so as we're trying them, we're going to learn so much together. And like I said, there's a reason why I chose them. One, they were curated by makeup artists. And so I know that the looks, work. And 2, they are usually colors that I don't typically wear, and it's always good to be outside your comfort zone. And 3, every week is a different application technique. And so I think it's important for me to show you a variety of application techniques so you can find the one that's just right for you. You will find a favorite, one that feels natural to you and that looks, makes you feel like you look the best. So, every week is a little bit different. This week, yeah, it's dramatic. It's really dramatic. And I've got a whole lot of holy cow moments. I've been trying this look, for a couple weeks practicing. And I'm like, oh boy, this will be interesting if I can pull this off. So let me just say this. I never come to you saying that I am a makeup artist or that I'm a model or that I do anything perfectly. I'm here to just show you how I do things and why I do it the way I do, so that hopefully you have a takeaway. And that's it. Okay. So that's my disclaimer before we start today. If you're watching, I would love for you to say hi in the comments. We are on a mission to get to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. So regardless of where you're watching me, if you could look it up on YouTube and subscribe, that would be awesome. What else do I want to share before we jump in? I think that's probably it. I did put on my brows and my mascara ahead of time. So yeah, if you're going to follow along, you want to have your foundation on. All right, back it up. You want your skincare on. All right. That really does make a difference. We'll talk about that in a whole other video because it's that important. But do your skincare, do your foundation, and then we're not going over brows and eyes. So you can either do them now or do them later. Doesn't matter. But what I chose to do for brows, I actually did like a brow kit today because this is a more dramatic look. And so I wanted something, that, really kind of took it up a notch. My eyebrows aren't even. Anyway, so this is a pomade. I always want to say pomade, but it's pomade. So it's a pomade, a brow powder, and then sort of like a highlighter. So anyway, that's what I used in my brows. And then for my lashes, I used a lengthening mascara. And I said, hey, let's talk about mascara every week too. We'll talk about a different kind. Last time we talked about waterproof. So lengthening mascara is exactly that, where it focuses on the, covering your lashes all the way to the tip. And normally it will have the word lengthening in the title. And it will also usually have a curved wand. So if you're looking for really long lashes, that's the kind of mascara you want to reach for. Okay. So these are the colors, unless I'm misunderstanding something. See how different they look than they did on that graphic? The first one is champagne. Okay, here we go. Here's what I have to say about this. The thing that makes an eyeshadow shimmery is called mica, and they're like little tiny mirrors. And the more shimmery, if the mica pieces are bigger, then it's more shimmery. Okay, so the first color that we're using is called crystalline, and it is extremely shimmery. We used to call it a frost back in the day. And so generally speaking, this is not something that I would put on the part of my eye that is the crepiest. And it's also not something I would usually use because my eyes are really different. Sometimes it's really obvious, sometimes it isn't. But like I have one where you can hardly see the lid, and then the other one where you can see more of the lid. And so the white reflection really makes that obvious. So you'll see as I go along, but I'm just using a traditional all over eyeshadow brush. I'm loading up. It's like a white. It's like a white shimmer. So if you have anything like that in your bag, you want to snag that right now. And that's supposed to go all over your lid. Okay. Should I? Okay, let me say this. This lid needs help. Okay. So I am going to put it all over for real, all the way up into my crease. See how like woof. This lid is the one that already shows up better. And so should I do it and then take it off? All right, let's do it. So if I put this all over exactly the same, it will really emphasize the fact that my eyes are different. And most of us have slightly different eyes, but mine are like seriously different. So when I'm looking at you, it seems like to me, like it really emphasizes that. I can't tell because I don't have my glasses. But mostly, so like if I do a video or something and I'm using all different expressions, is like one eye looks like seriously smaller than the other eye. So what I typically do when I've got something this light and bright is I won't use as much on the good eye. Does that make sense? Because then it kind of evens out a little bit. Well, we'll move on. The next one is called Smoky Quartz, and the suggested brush to use is an eye crease brush. So anything that really gets in the crease, it might have an angle to it, or it might just be a smaller head. We're using Smoky Quartz, and honestly, it is almost exactly the same shade. We're going to put that toward the outer area. So I might need to get my magnified mirror going here. So, but like so the first thing that I learned, I guess, would be that I've never used two highlight shades together. Never, ever. So that's kind of an interesting thought. And I don't know. It's kind of hard to see the difference. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. But they're both shimmery, but the crystalline is more shimmery. So that's another thing. If you are sensitive to certain kinds of eyeshadow, it could be the mica is giving you trouble. Mica makes my eyes itch. And usually the frostier it is, the more shimmery it is, the bigger the mica pieces, the more sensitive I am to it. So that's something to consider if you have trouble with eyeshadow. All right. I'm just gonna leave it like that. And then the third color is espresso. It's almost black. It's like so dark. It's a dark brown. And I've done this a couple different ways. All right. So I did it once where I just put just like a dot of it, and then I blended it in, and it was very subtle. And I think that is the look on the graphic that I showed you. And then I did it where it was a little more dramatic so that I could kind of carve out my eyes better, because I just didn't like how uneven they looked. So what should I do? Should I do one of each? That'll look really goofy. I think we'll do what the instructions say. All right. And they say to use that same brush that you just used and dip into that dark color. We want to tap off the excess because this is dark. And this time we're using a V shape, which is typically what we do when we do eyes. Last week we used a C shape, which was a little more soft. And then it kind of made my eyes rounder looking, which was interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and do a V in that outer corner. And then without dipping in again or anything like that, we're just going to kind of bring it in. I like to bring it in on the lid a little bit, but we are also going to bring it in along the crease, slightly above. So it's, even though it's so dark, it doesn't, it doesn't look super dark on that. You've got control, when you've got a color that you want to use and it's so dark, you just, either use a smaller brush or use two different thoughts. You can use a really small brush, like a small head brush, dip it in, dot it on, back off, and then blend it. Or you can use a big fluffy brush, which doesn't deposit as much at a time. So either way, like it doesn't have to be super dark and dramatic. So don't be afraid of them. All right. And like I always say, it washes off, right? So if you don't like the result, just wash it off. Something that if you're new to me, I would like to say at this time, I cannot see without my glasses. So when I'm doing this for real, like in my bedroom, I have about 6 lights, I'm not kidding, and a 30 times magnified mirror that is lighted. And I still struggle. But when I'm doing this, I just have kind of like a traditional mirror and that's it. So if, again, I emphasize that I'm not saying I'm doing it perfectly. I'm just explaining the process so that you can apply it yourself. Does that make sense? I hope. Let's look and see what's happening here. Last week, I was looking and I said, oh, yeah, that looks good. But then when I looked at it on the video, one eye was significantly darker than the other. And I think the reason is I've got like a window over here. And so it's impacting how it looks to me in the mirror. So forgive me. So the next part, Lord help us all. We're going to use a liquid eyeliner. Now, for years, I stayed away from liquid eyeliners because my hands shake. I can't see, and if it's not nice and smooth, it doesn't look good. Then I wanted to wear false eyelashes. So I kind of had to get the hang of it because I was doing the magnetic kind where it's like a magnetic liner. Anyway, I've been practicing and it does get better with practice, but I have learned some tricks. This is a liquid liner pen, which is easier, in my opinion, to use than anything else. I like to kind of get it started like on the back of my hand because just like any other felt pen, when you first lay it down, sometimes it kind of skips a little bit and we don't want that. So we want to kind of get it started, make sure we got some juice in there. And my best advice is that we are just going to lay it down. So rather than thinking of it as we're taking the tip and we're drawing, we are just laying it down right on our lashes and letting it do its thing. And then we're going to pick it up and lay it down again. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I'll try to get closer. I don't start way over here in the tear duct. I start right above where my real lashes are and I just lay it down. All right, now I got to get my magnified mirror. I lay it down, lift it up, lay it down again. And like I'm so close to my lashes that I'm kind of pushing my lashes down while I do it. And so that to me helps me, get it close to my lashes and get it relatively straight. Once I know I've got it going and I've got some in the tip, then I'll come in and I'll do this very inside part because I want that to be nice and smooth and pointy. I don't want it to be really thick on the inside. We're going to wing it out. Sometimes I can do this really well, and sometimes I'm very, very bad. So I don't even know what to tell you. What I'm going to do is have the pointy part out this way. Oh, wow. Okay. Help me, Lord. And I'm going to kind of wing it out just by how I lay it down. All right. Hold on. Hold that thought a minute. So just because I had the pointy part out, it sort of made that little bit of a wing. All right. And now I've done it with like major wing and I've done it with a little baby wing. I think I like little baby wing better. And then I go over it to just kind of fill in the gaps because I never do it exactly right the first time. If you have liquid liner advice, I'm all ears, okay? This has never been an easy thing for me to do. And as I was practicing this look, laying it down, pick it up, lay it down. As I was practicing this look, I saw a TikToker who's like over 50 say how women our age should not do the winged liner look. And I disagree. I mean, I think sometimes it can be a little bit ridiculous, but really anything that gives a lift to our eyes is a good thing. It really is. All right, now we're doing the outside part. I don't know why this feels harder when you're watching me. I don't know what the dealio is. I'm going out like that to kind of give it a little wing at the end. And then I got to come in and fill it in. So then the next challenge is making sure that they both look about the same, because I'll usually have one that's significantly thicker than the other one. What was I doing the other day? I think I had on false lashes. Then I took them off. I had a big gap. And so I thought, well, I'll just fill in the gap with this liner. And I just kept going and going. And the wing was ridiculous. So in those cases, yeah, I see that maybe we shouldn't go so crazy. All right. I don't imagine that these are even, Steven, but I don't want to take forever either. So let me point out a few things. When you use a nice heavy liner like this on top and nothing on the bottom, that is going to give you some lift. The little wing at the end, hopefully, is giving you a little bit of lift. And then I would probably do my mascara after I did this. I would for sure. And so then that's going to also continue to give you some lift. So even though it's a very dramatic look with all that shimmer, you've got control. You can kind of tone it down a little bit. For women over 50, if I were putting this together, I probably would not use something this shimmery on my lids. Okay, can you tell now how? Yeah, you can see more of this lid than this lid. And the fact that I've got that really bright shimmer on is not helping. Okay, so that's just something to tuck away for future. All right, moving on. So we're just doing eyes, cheeks, lips, done. So this is going to be pretty fast. We are doing a really pretty. I always forget to show you in my compacts because my compact's a disaster. We're using what's called Shy Blush. It's this one. And it's I never used it before because it's shimmery. And I just thought I didn't know there's a story behind that. When I was a teenager and I wore shimmery blush, my dad would always say, "Are you sweating?" So in my mind, that's what shimmery blush does. And this is a little bit of a warm undertone. And so those two things have kept me away from it. This is like a peachy pink, shimmery, very light. I'm using a traditional cheek brush. Let's tap off the excess. And then we're going along the cheekbone, just like we did last week. But lo and behold, I really liked it because it is really soft and natural looking. And my blush tends to turn orange on me anyway. So I don't know. I like the fact that the little bit of shimmer makes it look like I'm also using a highlight powder, which I'm not. And the fact that it's light means that I don't have to worry so much about, did I get too much on? All that kind of stuff. So I really liked it. It's just very soft, natural, pretty. I was surprised. Not going to lie. I was surprised. I usually take a big brush and kind of blend the inside. I don't like it too close to my nose or too low on my face. And generally speaking, neither do you. Neither should you. All right. Now we got some talking to do. So this is a bright red matte lipstick. Okay. So many red flags. Matte lasts longer. Usually the more moisture in a lipstick, going from matte to like a shine to a gloss, the more moisture, the less staying power it has. So I like the fact that matte lipsticks last longer, and they're very popular. They've been in vogue for a few years now. I don't think matte flatters women over 50, generally speaking. I think it serves us better to have a little bit of shine and glow. So that's problem number one. The other thing was that this particular look does not use a lip liner. Last week we used a lip liner to kind of keep things in place. This look does not. And again, I'm talking about myself here, but I think you can relate. Well, okay, let me just do this. A picture's worth 1,000 words. I can put this on so precisely, and when I'm totally still, it looks good. But then as I'm talking and moving my mouth, it's like I must lift up one side of my face more than the other, and it looks like it's super off balance, off kilter, which is why, one of the many reasons why I tend to wear a softer lip. But I do think there is a red for everyone. I do. And if you've never found a red that lights you up, it's probably the undertone is a problem. This has a slightly cool undertone. All right, let me concentrate. And it's still fresh. So it has like that nice little peak. So I can go right up in here, get that going. Down, down. And I mentioned last week, okay, I already forgot what I was going to say. I'm so intent on this. I'm like, oh, wait, what? Okay. So, all right, let's see if I can show you this. This is weird. If you want to humble yourself, record yourself and watch it back. Okay. When I'm relaxed, it looks kind of normal. When I start talking, I do this. I like bring this up. So then I just look, my whole face. It's going all different directions. So, I used to love red. Red was like one of my signature colors. And I think that, maybe like for Christmas or holiday or something like that, I think it's nice to have a go-to red. My situation, I don't know that I could pull this off like on the daily. You know what I'm saying? But so let me look at myself real good. It is what it is. But this red, it's matte. It has a slightly cool undertone, which actually surprised me because just when I was eyeballing it, it looked kind of warmish to me. But it's cool. And so if you have a brand or a shade that you are really not sure, you can usually contact the company and say to their customer service, like, this is the shade, and I'm just wondering if it's cool or warm undertone, because it does matter. And finding the right red is a very exciting thing. So, all right, I got to put my eyeballs back on if I can find my glasses. And, whew, if my lashes weren't squished, they would look even better. That's another thing. It's like if I am trying, like if I'm looking in the mirror, I can make my eyes kind of even out. But when I'm just myself and I'm just talking and doing stuff, they are so uneven. So again, I don't know that I would wear something, with all this shimmer. So here's the look. Let's put it back on the screen. What it's supposed to look like. So this is the champagne shimmer. Her lips are gorgeous. She's got nice, full, even lips. Do I think that red is a good look for women over 50? I think it's important for us to have a go-to red. And if you've never found one, I would say it's an undertone issue. These are the specific shades that we were using today. This is a matte lip. And you may be thinking like, okay, so last week we did berry. This week we did red. These are so dramatic. Well, next week, you're going to be excited because we're using something a lot softer, and it is called Cinnamon Glow. It is very soft and natural, really light lip. So if these past two looks have been a little out of your comfort zone or a lot out of your comfort zone, next week, I think that you're going to be really excited about this. And if you want the exact colors, you can reach out to me and I'll tell you how that can happen, because these 6 looks, like I said, were curated by makeup artists. And they are part of a makeover contest being held by Mary Kay Cosmetics. So I wanted to show you these colors and techniques and show you how you can use these, put this look together regardless of what brand you're using. But if you're a Mary Kay girl, you can put this look together, take a selfie, and actually be registered in the contest. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, reach out to me. I'll explain it better. Okay. But so thank you so much for watching. I hope you come back next week. And I hope you learned something. Let me know in the comments, okay? If you're thinking, I can't believe she did it like that. I'm learning too, okay? So, whatever you're thinking, I would love to know your takeaway, the way you do things, how you feel about this look. If you think it's great for women over 50 or if it's, alert. Stay away. I think I could pull this off. Like if I tweaked it a little bit and had on like a real pretty black dress or something, but it's not something I would wear every day. Anyway, that's just me. I do have a really cool freebie for you. So this video is live this week. Typically, I record my videos and I have them as part of my weekly blog. I have a beauty blog, michellefoxonline.com. And in the body of the blog, you have an opportunity to get a free resource that shows you the right eyeshadow colors for your eye color, right eyeshadow shades for your eye color. And I will also have the link to that in the YouTube description. If I don't already, I'll quick put that in there. So that's my thank you to you for hanging out with me today and spending time. Make sure you say hi in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from, if you tried this. And like I said, if you've got some help for me. So thanks so much for your time. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Friday. And I hope to see you next week when we do Cinnamon Glow.